Hi, I'm Mrs. Hoersten at Chapelwood Elementary in 2nd grade, and today's lesson is the life cycles of animals with Mr. Crosslin.
Thanks for that great introduction on life cycles. And I know you guys have been studying these
life cycles.
and you studied life cycles of
Butterflies.
butterflies and life cycles of a
Frog.
and today we're going to study very interesting life cycles, the human life cycle. Let's check it out. Okay, so life cycles, you studied a lot about life cycles. Help me remember, like on butterflies, they all start with what? An egg, and then it turns into a larva. There's another name for a larva. What is it? Caterpillar. And so a caterpillar, it's got one job in life. Basically, a caterpillar is to eat, and then to eat, and then to eat. And a caterpillar doesn't really, not yet. But before we go to the next stage, a caterpillar, it just keeps, what's that word? It keeps growing. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Its job is to eat. In fact, there's this famous science book about this very tiny,
caterpillar.
no, it's the very hungry larva.
No, very hungry caterpillar.
Okay,
We have the book back
you
there.
call it caterpillar, I think it's called larva. But you go find the book and let me know.
I will.
Okay, next. After the larva, have a seat back here. After the larva, what comes next? Chrysalis. He says chrysalis because that's a butterfly, right? What if it's a moth? What do you call it? Cocoon. But the science stage for it is what?
Pupa.
Pupa. Now, and then finally, after it goes from egg, larva, pupa, it emerges. Metamorphosis means, meta means change, morphosis shape. It changes into a beautiful.
Adult butterfly has always been a butterfly.
Yeah, you know, I like that. It's an adult butterfly because it's what?
Always been a butterfly.
It's always been a butterfly. So that's one life cycle. It came in 4 big stages. Now there's, you found it? Okay, look, here's the book, The Very Hungry Larva. It says that.
Caterpillar.
This must be some kind of bogus copy because I always thought it was The Very Hungry Larva. But it means the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks for sharing me and correcting me. So you studied about those butterflies. Next, last week we talked about another creature, an aquatic creature, one of my favorites, and it started with an egg, right? And then it progressed to a strange thing, a tadpole, and then a little
Froglet.
froglet. That's such a cool word, froglet. And the froglet, what made the froglet interesting is it changed. It just didn't grow bigger. New parts came from the tadpole. What were some of the new parts? Yes.
It was a tail.
A tail? A tail? The tadpole had a tail, but the froglet still had a tail. So that would not be new. What's a new thing it had? Yeah.
Legs.
It had legs and
Smaller tail.
smaller tail. So it kind of, the tail shrunk, new legs came. And sometimes you see a little froglet going like this. But they get their oxygen through their skin. And then the 4th change, which is very interesting because new parts came. When there's new parts, we call that something. It's not growing. A new part is, you know the word? Develop. Develop. Remember that word, say it.
Develop.
So an animal will,
Develop.
no. It will grow, and an animal will develop new parts. So an animal might just get bigger, that's called
Growing.
but when it gets bigger and get new parts, develop. So the frog was a froglet. What are some new parts that a frog has that the froglet does not have? Think before you answer. Raise your hand. I'll be glad to call on you. Yes. What does a frog have that a froglet does not have?
Lungs.
Lungs. You're so smart. Don't tell me. Who told you that? Your teacher. Did your teacher leave anything on the table for me to teach? I'm just wondering.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me know if there's anything new. What else does a frog have
That's what I just said.
that a froglet does not have?
Oh, never
Oh.
mind.
Yes.
Never mind.
Go over there and metamorphosize a little bit more. Come back when you're fully grown, okay? I'm saying. What? Let me think. What does a frog have? I'm giving some major hints here. What is it?
Teeth. No, tongue.
No, it still has a tongue. You're right, teeth. An adult frog has teeth, whereas a froglet does not. So those are not growing, those are called development. Okay, let's take a close look at this, right? Okay, so we talked about two things. We talked about when something gets bigger, just go ahead and write this somewhere. When something gets bigger, what are we going to call that? We're going to call that grow. Go ahead and write that. So that's grow. Now the other concept is when we get a new part, that's not growing, that is develop. D-E-V-E-L-O-P. Develop. Those are our two big words for today, grow and develop. Got it?
Yes.
Let's talk about some examples. Okay, so when we talk about growing, why don't you get down your knees there, because you've been growing a lot since I last saw you. Growing means to get bigger, right? Does anybody at your house, I bet you, does your mom or dad have a place where you go and they put you by the door and they mark it? Do you have that at your house? Tell me about it, Steve.
Well, if like we get bigger,
You get bigger.
then we want to fix it.
Does anybody else have that, a new place? You do? Well, tell me about it.
It's in my garage.
In your garage?
Yeah, if I get bigger, my mom like puts a mark over my head from where I was, and she writes the year and the exact day.
And the exact date. Does she do it on your birthday or just different times? Maybe when it was
Different
first.
times.
And what else? Yes.
In my garage, I do have one too by the door, and I use my mom and dad sometimes mark it where I like how high I'm getting each
Yeah.
day.
What about me? Do you think if I marked mine every year, what would still be happening?
Growing.
Why, man?
Yeah.
What happened?
Because you're fully grown.
I got fully grown. So you guys are like ding, 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 ding. But me, it's like, for many years, I'm not going to grow anymore.
You might
So-
shrink though.
Hey, did you have to bring that up? I actually did shrink a little bit. I used to be 6 foot tall. Now I think I'm 5 foot, 11 and a half inches. Guess what? I hate to tell you this, but one day he might shrink a little. Just saying. All right, so that's an example of what? That's an example of getting bigger as an example of what? Growing. Thank you. What I'm saying is, when you're born, your eyes are really big, and they don't grow very much, but your head grows into them. And it's kind of like a cool thing. No, look here. When you're born, look at your pretty, your mom looks at you, and you see these big eyes, and you go, oh, we should keep her.
And then when you grow up,
So that's a different story when you grow up, I mean.
you grow up, your eyes look
No.
like they shrunk.
No, they didn't shrink, it's just that your head got big.
Yeah, it looks like your eyes. Why would your eyeballs shrink?
Well, they could. Okay, so they don't really. You ready? Next. All right, so that is an example of growing. I go over to knock on Cora's house and, hey, can Cora come to school? We're doing a science experiment. And your mom goes, sorry, come back in 3 weeks. Why? She's a pupa. We got her hanging in the closet.
Oh my god.
That would be strange. It would be hilarious. Yeah, no. So, Cora, you got a funny look in your face. That's okay. Once you emerge, you'll be all right.
No, I'm a person. I'm not.
Oh, she's a person. Okay. You're right. So we're going to take a look at that. I got one more thing to tell you about. All right? So when you're born, you grow and grow and grow. So first stage is a small, maybe a larva or a baby. Second, they grow. But then there's new parts. For example, my little baby, well, she's grown up now, but when she was little, I used to feed her. How many people have a younger brother or sister? Have you ever tried to feed them when they were babies? You take a spoon, and I would feed you, and you go, and one spoon goes in, and half of it comes out. And then you have to put it back in, back in. And so I would feed my daughter. That's part of it being a dad. And one day, I was feeding her with a spoon like this, and I hear this dink. Well, that's weird. Maybe there's something in the rice. I'll take another spoon. Bite. Dink. That's very strange.
She has
Dink. I thought,
She has
what is that?
teeth.
So then I took a little cup or sippy cup, and I put it up to her mouth, and she goes, dink, 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 dink. And I go, she has a tooth. And I put my finger in there, which is boldly what you should not do, and she went, King, and I went, ah. So she was not born with teeth. Wouldn't it be terrible? Here comes your baby home in the hospital. She smiles at you with these teeth. Ah! Teeth are not an example of growing. Teeth are an example of when an organism develops. So a new part, teeth, is developed, right?
Actually, always in your gums.
You know what? I knew there'd be somebody say that. Get over here, kid. What'd you say?
It's always in your gums, actually.
But they've not emerged, have they? They're way up in there.
Yeah.
So I agree. I'll argue that point with you.
You can kind of feel that.
All right, let me ask you this then. Check this out. There's one more thing. This is good. When I came home from the hospital, my mom brought me home. I can just imagine she must have been so proud of me. And if she showed me to the neighbors, it's a good thing I didn't have this mustache. Can you imagine? Look at my baby. Oh, lady, that baby's got a mustache. You know? Ah! You know? So was I born with this mustache? No. That mustache came later. I developed it. So when an organism gets new parts, whether it's a plant that starts to grow in a plant, you're going to do this next week. I think so. Is that Garden Glove next week? Yes. Next week you're going to do a project where you're going to plant some seeds. In that seed, it's going to... You know, Miss Hoersten doesn't do everything. I get to do this one. Now Miss Hoersten's going to do this one too. You're going to get a seed. It's going to germinate. That's the next stage. It's going to pop open, and up's going to come two little. Not yet. It's going to be two little leaves, and down's going to come. This is like a baby root, and these are like two baby leaves, but they were already in the seed. Remember what you were talking about your teeth? These two things are already in there. They're not new. So that's not development. No, this is the radio, and this is the little pop-up leaves. Now, it gets bigger and bigger, and that's called killing me. Growth. And then finally, you're going to see on your bean plant a true leaf come out. Now, that leaf is going to look different than the first two. It's going to have veins on it. That's something new. We call that development. And as it grows more, out will come a flower. That's new. Flower. First, the flower bud. That is a development. And it's going to open up into a flower, which is new. You're going to learn all about that. Let's get this written down in our papers. Okay, so we talked about growing, getting bigger and bigger. That's when, you know, a baby gets bigger. And some examples of development, of human development, is when you get teeth, even though the buds might still be there, teeth, or in my case, a beard or a mustache, right?
Yep.
Go ahead and write that. Let's take a look at a human development, right? Okay, you see here, this is kind of interesting. This is a life cycle of a lady, and I have 6 different faces. This is all the same person. Why don't you look at those? See how they're alike? See how they're different? You notice, since it's the same person, they all have brown eyes. But you're going to notice some things that are growth and some things are development. Would you like to get a set of these and try to put them in the right order?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that next.
Right, table leaders, on your color mat, you're going to find your stack of cards. As a team, you're going to discuss what you see in each picture. And you're going to put them in order, from youngest to oldest. Be sure you discuss and use some of your growth and development vocabulary. Give me a thumbs up if you are ready. Perfect. Go ahead. Get started.
So first, it would be the baby. It's the newborn baby that just came out of the hospital. Then it would be the toddler. Next, it would be like 5 or 6, which would probably be her, right? Wait. Yeah, and then that's like when she's like a teenager. And then this is when she's like adult. And the baby would go first.
So what do you got going on here? Talk to me.
Baby. This is the baby that just came home. This is like the toddler. Yeah.
Use those words we're talking about, growth and development.
Yeah. They're growing. Because it develops because they have teeth now. Yeah. She developed her teeth, and then.
What's going on here?
And then she's getting bigger. Yeah. She's getting taller and bigger. And next, she's like a teenager right now, and she's like grown more. She's tall, and this is when she's grandma when she's a mom and she's grown a lot, and this is when she's a grandma and she's done growing and she's a full-grown person.
Kind of at the end of her life cycle. Okay, I like how you guys put these in groups and discuss them. So you probably say which one is the first one? Right about where? There's the baby. And next, I heard the word. I heard the word development because this one has teeth. So this would be more like a baby, and then it starts to be maybe a larger, and then a toddler, and then came this one right here. She looks like she's in the 4th grade, maybe. And look at her skin is smooth, but it's not as fat and chubby as. Babies have a lot of extra fat just in case, and they need it. But you start to get thinner, your nose gets thinner. And then we have a teenager, maybe where?
Right there.
Right there. And you start to see a little wrinkles on her lips, but then she turns into an adult, and you'll see the hair is turning what? Gray. And look around the corners of her eyes, more wrinkles, her lips, a little bit of wrinkles, and finally, towards the end of her life cycle, she's a senior citizen. And what can you describe about this? You see,
She's old.
she's old. But yes, but those are not observations. Those are inferences. Observations are she has wrinkles, her nose looks kind of. There's under her eyes, her ears are long. She's got some spots here from the sun, and that is a life cycle. Let me show you one thing. Check this out. So I got a little bit of a riddle for you, all right? And you can figure mine out. I'll try to figure yours out. This is my
Life cycle.
but it doesn't go all the way around like this, because when it goes like all the way around to, guess what?
It restarts.
No, it doesn't restart. I'm dead. All living things will die. So mine is like right about here. I still got this much life. But eventually, I will get up to here, and I will be dead. You know, the thing I worry about, if you eat peanut butter, you will die. Have you ever eaten peanut butter?
Have.
You will die.
Wow.
If you drink water,
If you do anything, you'll die.
you will die.
Die.
If you take a big breath of air like this, if you breathe in air, you will die.
We know.
Now,
No matter what,
my
you'll die.
point is, we're all going to die one day. If you eat peanut butter or drink water. This is a life cycle. My life cycle is like this. Starts here and stops right about here. Now here's the trick. Here's the riddle. Ready? This is me. Watch.
What? Oh.
What do you think? What do you think?
I think this was your life cycle.
Yes?
And then that was for babies.
How many do I have?
3.
Oh, you're onto something. Watch. See if she gets there. You're good. Ready? Watch this now. You ready?
Oh, I know what he's doing.
I think maybe the oldest baby has a baby of their own.
Right. See, I have 3 kids, and my daughter is married, and she just had a little baby. So that is another little life cycle. So in my life, my big life cycle, my daughter, her daughter, my son, my other daughter. Now let's see yours.
Oh, it's
Henry.
That's one life cycle and a little infant life cycle. I bet I guess his name. Is it Henry?
It is.
We all said it. We all told you.
Okay, so that's a cool life cycle like that. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. Are you ready? Let's check this out. We're going to make a special alien creature, but it has to follow certain rules. Here's the name of our creature. It's going to be called a GroDev.
We heard that.
Ah, but why am I calling it a GroDev? What are the 2 words it stands for?
Grow and develop.
Yes. And so here's, you're going to make 3 drawings of it. The first drawing has to be a larva. The second drawing has to show it grow into number 2, so it's going to be a big larva. Got that? Yes, yes?
Yes.
And then the third one has to show
Adult.
development. Adult, develop. And that's number 3. And that has to show develop. Now I'm going to give you an example. You can copy mine if you want, or you can make your own. If I had something that looked like this, it's my strange alien GroDev from the planet GroDev, and it's got, there's my larva. Got it?
Yeah.
Here's how it looked when it grows. Because all organisms, even on other planets, that we haven't found any yet, but if we do find them, they should grow, which should look like this.
Whoa. That's a big larvae.
Now, what is the only difference between step 1 and step 2? Class? It shows growth, it's bigger. But then, oh my goodness, it's going to develop some strange parts. And this is where you can have some fun with your imagination. Ready?
What is he gonna do?
Mustache?
Is he gonna try to scare us or something?
No.
What are you doing?
What?
He grew eyeballs.
Nice.
Oh, some teeth, some eyebrow, some armpit hair.
It looks like a bomb.
There is my adult version. My adult version. No, it's not a lobster. It is a GroDev. Growth, develop. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Draw it first, then add all of your details.
And you asked me something. How do you think you should make this?
Paper, and then
2 larvae.
3D?
Yeah.
Okay.
Draw it on your black construction paper first, then add your details.
Where you get the pen? Okay, now
Lily. Draw it first.
They're supposed to be.
What are you making?
I am making the first stage of a butterfly,
And it is called a...
and it is called a egg,
And after that comes
a pupa.
what happened to the larva?
I forgot, a larva.
Okay. Oh, I like this. What is that?
It's a gourmet, and I'm drawing the first stage, which the first stage was an egg, and then it hatched, and it's now a larva, and I'm drawing the structure of
Oh,
it.
make the next one. It's going to be showing growth, right?
Now it's growing and it's developing.
Is it developing or just growing?
It's growing and it's developed.
Where's the new parts? Oh, sure.
The new parts are its hands and its arms, and
Okay.
it's got like actual legs, because here it doesn't have any legs, it only has feet.
Excellent. So that's both growth and development. Good job.
See how he has 3 sketches?
Yes.
What do you notice about this one?
It has no arms.
Has no arms. And then what happens when it moves to the second stage?
It has arms.
And what else happens?
It gets bigger.
It grows a little. And then what happens with the third stage?
It's a doll.
It's an adult, but what do you notice? Mason? What do you notice about when it goes from second to third?
It gets bigger.
It gets bigger and it grows and it
Develop.
develops. Excellent. Let's give Braxton 2 claps. Good job.
So as you can see in this classroom, they really got the concept of growth and development. And then we got things that are growing, which means get bigger, and we've got things that are developing, which means new parts. I can't wait to see how these GroDevs turn out.
Oh, this one has 6